Hello, everyone. Today I am here with Stephanie Goldner, Director of Product Management, Biometrics and Innovation at Capital One. Stephanie, please can you introduce yourself to our community and give a little bit of background to how you got to where you are right now?
Of course, of course. So, hi everyone. I'm Stephanie Goldner. I am the Director of Product Management for Biometrics and Innovation at Capital One. And my role is primarily focused on thinking about how do we stay ahead of fraudsters? How do we stay ahead of customer trends? How do we look out in the market and see what innovation is occurring in the space so that we can provide better experiences for our customers and protect them from fraud. And how did I get to where I am today? So it's been quite a journey. I've been through several different types of job opportunities. I started out in sales. I made my way to project management. Um, and that was my first foray into understanding technical products and how they worked. Learned a lot about technology by working directly with engineers and engineering partners who were able to really bridge the gap and translate how things worked for me. And then moved over from working at startups previously, where things are really fast, dynamic, you're wearing multiple hats, and moved over to Capital One, which, although it's a much larger institution, we do operate very much as a startup in many ways too, like focus on innovation, focus on experimentation, speed to market. I started out as a project manager where I was leading really complex projects that involved lots of different teams and delivering net new experiences or MVPs in market for these products. And as I did that, I was working with a lot of product managers and realized that I was very interested in what they did. Because as a project manager, you have to understand the product, you have to herd the cats, as they say, and organize everyone around that delivery. But as a product manager, you are accountable for asking the question of, but why? Why are we doing this? Why are we focused on this? Is this the right thing to focus on? And I really had an interest in getting into the details of that. So I switched over to become a product manager in the identity space, which I knew some about, very little at the time when I transitioned. And I would say, I just gradually started learning about identity and how that worked and all of the different components. And I would now probably consider myself somewhat of an identity nerd. I've grown to really love this space and just what it means to prove someone's identity and how that can really have an impact across so many different spheres, both in, again, customer experience. And I will say one of my favorite things though is being able to stop the bad guys and prevent fraud. But I very much have loved identity and being a product manager, understanding the why and how to innovate in that space.
Can you share a pivotal moment or turning point that shaped your journey into tech and identity?
Yes. Yeah. So, and I'm maybe not necessarily the shift into identity, but I will talk about just like a pivotal moment in my career. So as I mentioned, I started in sales and I was good at it because I'm a conversationalist. A lot of sales is talking to people. But I had to cold call 100 people a day, which was a little exhausting. And so after a while, I decided, hey, I really like the interaction of this, but I don't like the way in which I need to do it. And so I decided to quit my job. And I was going to travel around until my money ran out. But then I happened to, through networking and friends, I found out about an opportunity with Operation Smile. And they are a nonprofit organization that helps basically fund surgeons around the world to perform surgery on children that are born with cleft lip or cleft palate and may not have opportunities to get or to be able to afford those operations otherwise. And I ended up getting that role as a medical photographer. So a little bit of a mix again on the career journey here, but they would fly me around to different locations around the world to take photographs of patients pre and post operation, to essentially figure out how effective the different surgeons were in the different parts of the world and help train them and make sure that they can help them more effectively perform those surgeries. So I did that for a year, and it was at the time, I think one of the things that's really interesting is I had a lot of family members or friends who were like, oh, right now's a really important moment in your career. You know, you should be building the stepping stones, and this is a totally different direction. Like, are you sacrificing your career growth, et cetera, et cetera? Um, but I was very convinced that that was what I should be doing. It was a beautiful opportunity to help people all over the world. It was something completely different than what I had ever done before. It was again that a lot of that engagement with different humans and different people that was what I was really passionate about. And the internship lasted 1 year. So it gave me an opportunity to really take a break and think about, all right, what do I want to do next in my career? And I would say, through that experience, I ended up meeting people that then connected me to the role where I started as a project manager. And if you had asked me when I graduated, do you want to be a project manager? Do you want to be a product manager? I didn't even know what those things were. And so I guess like this moment for me and my advice for others or my lesson learned here is like pursue what you're passionate about. And I think that the career that's right for you will kind of find you, is my approach to life. Like, don't be afraid to try new experiences because you can try things and then decide this isn't for me, rather than focusing so specifically on I want to do this or I want to do that or I have to have the answer to what I want to do because through that open exploration is how I actually ended up starting on that journey with technology and learning and ending up in a role that I'm really passionate about and that I've built a long-standing career in.
So I think you've covered this a little bit, but why is Women in Identity's mission so important to you?
Oh, great question. So, I think there are obviously situations that that have led to perhaps women being underrepresented or being more nervous about entering into certain job fields or job areas, and so I think it's just really, really important to show that there's many different ways to get to a different role, to get to a different opportunity. Even tech. I mean, I would say there's generally a perception that that tech or engineering is more of a male dominated profession, and I'm not saying that's not true. Like there is a reality in the world, but I also think that it's not, it shouldn't, you know, scare people away or discourage women from entering into that field. I think that as women, we also bring a lot of empathy for the customer, empathy for other individuals, and just a perspective and perception that we bring to all of the work, that is critically important. And I'm a huge believer in that the more diversity that we have in any given field in general, the better the products that we're going to create, the better we're going to be able to serve our customers because in each of us, we are representing a different journey, a different life history, a different aspect that reflects what some of our customers are going to see. So I would say like that's one of the main reasons that I'm so passionate about this group and the work that we do is just surfacing and extending a hand to other women and saying, hey, there's many different ways you can do this. There's many different ways you can reach this. We're all here to support each other, men and women. We're all here to support each other and really help build and create better products, better experiences, and better opportunities for everyone across the world.
And finally, if you could sit across from a tech leader who doesn't get inclusive design, what personal story or example would you share with them to make them care?
Oh, that is a great question. And I wish I could remember the name of this book. I'll have to share it back with you. But there is a book that somebody shared with me, and it's about how historically a lot of the surveying that we've done has been with men and did not include women just because men were the first to be able to go to the office and work, like to vote, to many other things. So there's a lot of survey data that assumes things like, oh, when we rebuild a city center, we're going to survey the population and see what they would prefer. And when you survey primarily men, they're going from the home to the office. And so 90% of the respondents are men. And so the survey will say, oh, we surveyed the population and holistically they've declared that like the best infrastructural investments for us to make are from, roads from the home to the city center. But then you have this whole population of women who are caregivers and they're going across. They're not going to the city center. They're going across to a grandmother's house. They're taking the kids, to daycare. They're going to the grocery store and then they end up walking on streets that have no sidewalks. They end up having to take different methods because there are no bus transportation across. And so that's one example highlighted in the book. But I just think, if I could repeat what that author says, I just think it's a great reference of very tangible data-driven examples of why inclusion is so important and why ensuring that the data itself that you're using to make these assumptions and assessments is founded on data that is truly diverse and inclusive, because otherwise you're just layering assumptions on top of assumptions on top of assumptions. And I think that's what's driving a lot of the disconnect that some of the diverse, or minority populations feel in today's world, because it's founded on data that was not comprehensive. So those are the examples that I would give.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sitting with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Of course. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I did remember the book name.
Is it Invisible Women?
It's Invisible
I was
Women.
gonna say it's so funny because I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna ask her at the end of this. I've read Invisible Women. What a book. I
Oh,
thought it was that. I thought it
fantastic.
was that. Yeah.
Fantastic book. Yes,
It's
it's
fantastic.
Invisible
So
Women.
good.
But
Yeah.
thank you so much for the opportunity. And I hope, a little piece of my journey can help inspire other women to just be bold, try new things, take crazy leaps and trust your judgment. Because ultimately your voice is helping make better experiences for other women and for other people in the world.